Hello, everybody. So, today is officially lesson 39. My holiness is my salvation. And I'm thankful to be reading today's lesson, for it is an anchor back to the truth. It lets us see that, there is nothing my holiness cannot do, including salvation of the world, because that is how powerful what we are is. And so today we are accepting this holiness as being what we are, and no longer identifying with the self that separates, the self that thinks it's this mere body and focuses on the I. So now we're translating to the idea of giving, including everyone in this vision of holiness, because we are all holy together and as one. So in reading here, it's saying, if guilt is hell, then what is the opposite? Like the text for which this workbook was written, the ideas which are used for the exercises are very simple, very clear, and totally unambiguous. We are not concerned with intellectual feats nor logical toys. We are dealing only with the very obvious, which has been overlooked in the clouds of complexity in which you think. And so even in saying these few words, we are recognizing that truth is simple. Truth is very easy and clear and known by all of us equally. But because we've grown up in this world believing that we are bodies and believing that this guilt is real, we have suppressed this guilt, and it has peopled our world. And so we become trapped behind these clouds of complexity of that which we think. So we think that the way to salvation is difficult or hard, or it takes a lot of time or effort or pain to get there. But that is not true. The truth is that truth is simple. And salvation is our own welcoming. Because of our holiness, we are the bringers and the givers of salvation. Because salvation is merely the freedom of this guilt. And the answer to that is within. And again, Jesus says, if guilt is hell, what is its opposite? This is not difficult, surely. The hesitation you may feel in answering is not due to the ambiguity of the question. But do you feel that guilt is hell? If you did, you would see at once how direct and simple the text is, and you would not need a workbook at all. No one needs practice to gain what already is. And I feel that Jesus is bringing attention to the text now, because the text is compact with the truth in its wholeness, with every word, with every chapter, with every paragraph. And so he's saying that as we read through it, we recognize that it is this guilt that is the hell. But the reason this is difficult for us to accept and understand at this time is because we have yet to recognize that guilt is hell, and that the foundation of our current thought system and the foundation of this current world is set on guilt. It's set on guilt and sin, that we have done something wrong and we need to be punished for our wrongdoings. And so we are recognizing that it's not difficult to recognize that guilt is hell, and that there is an opposite to this, but it is our confused thoughts in our mind that are standing in the way of recognizing its simplicity. So as we continue, it's saying, we have already said that your holiness is the salvation of the world. What about your own salvation? And I'm getting emotional. And I feel I'm getting emotional because each and every one of these days that we're doing the lessons, we're diving deeper. And so it's bringing up more of the unconscious and hidden guilt and shame and fear that is hidden within our mind. And even little trip-ups, even little frustrations are showing us what is hidden underneath. And so by doing these lessons, it erects it, it resurrects it, it brings it up for us to look at it. So that may be why life seems to be difficult right now, and you might be having trouble with some of these lessons or your life situations. But we are here to be reminded today that it is my holiness that is my salvation, my freedom. And all we're learning to do is to accept this holiness for ourselves. And in doing so, we are freed, and the world is freed along with us. So it hits that soft core spot that your soul knows is true. So sometimes it sparks the waterworks. It says, what about your own salvation? You cannot give what you do not have. A Savior must be saved. How else can he teach salvation? Today's exercises will apply to you alone, recognizing that your salvation is crucial to the salvation of the world. So the only way we can be helpful in the world is by helping ourselves. Thus, in order to extend salvation, we must receive salvation. So today's focus is on us receiving this holiness about ourselves to be true, receiving the salvation for ourselves so that we can extend it. As you apply the exercises to your own world, the whole world stands to benefit. Your holiness is the answer to every question that was ever asked, is being asked now, or will be asked in the future. Your holiness means the end of guilt, and therefore the end of hell. Your holiness is the salvation of the world and your own. How could you, to whom your holiness belongs, be excluded from it? God does not know unholiness. Can it be he does not know his Son? We are being reminded here that God knows us as we are. He does not know us as we think we are. He does not know us as this guilty, sinful, hateful, painful person. He knows us as an innocent, whole, and perfect, holy child of God. And so today we are here remembering and accepting how God sees us, instead of how we see ourselves or how our parents see ourselves or how others see us, because that's not the truth about us. So today we are urged to take full 5 minutes in our 4 longer practice periods today. So set out this time very specifically to sit for at least 5 minutes, 4 times today. He says, begin the practice periods as usual by repeating today's idea to yourself. My holiness is my salvation. My holiness is my salvation. My holiness is my salvation. And then with eyes closed, search out your unloving thoughts in whatever form they appear. Uneasiness, depression, anger, fear, worry, attack, insecurity, and so on. Whatever form they take, they are unloving and therefore fearful. And so it is from them that you need to be saved. I love that. We are here saving ourselves from our own thoughts, because it is these thoughts that are untrue, and it is these thoughts that cloud the awareness of our holiness. So we're not being saved from anyone or anything else. We're not being saved from this world. We're being saved from our thoughts about this world. And when we let our true thoughts of holiness pervade our mind, instead of these thoughts of fear and worry and attack, then we are saved. Specific situations, events, or personalities you associate with unloving thoughts of any kind are suitable subjects for today's exercises. It is imperative for your own salvation that you see them differently. We must see all personalities, situations, and events that are unloving at this time differently, and it is imperative that we see all of them differently. So let them rise today to be seen through the light of our own holiness. And it is your blessing on them that will save you and give you vision. So when we open to seeing it through the eyes of holiness, we are extending a blessing upon those which we previously saw as unloving situations, events, or personalities. And as we give this blessing to others, we are giving this blessing and receiving this vision for ourselves. Slowly, without conscious selection and without undue emphasis on any one in particular, search your mind for every thought that stands between you and salvation. Apply the idea for today to each one of them in this way. My unloving thoughts about this person, situation, event are keeping me in hell. My holiness is my salvation. You may find these sessions easier if you intersperse the application with several short periods during which you merely repeat today's idea to yourself very slowly a few times. You may also find it helpful to include a few short intervals in which you just relax and do not seem to be thinking of anything. Sustained concentration is very difficult at first. It will become much easier as your mind becomes more disciplined and less distractible. And I can vouch for this, right? It's just as helpful to take moments of stillness and space and rest in the mind as it is to constantly apply the thought of today. So we want to ensure that we get 4 or 5 minute practice periods in, which are our longer practice periods. And then in between, we can repeat the idea, my holiness is my salvation, as often as we feel inspired, but then also just to take a few moments of stillness, a few moments of silence, just to be quiet for a second. Meanwhile, you should feel free to introduce variety into your application periods in whatever forms appeal to you. So we're trusting inspiration here. Do not, however, change the idea itself in varying the method of applying it. However you elect to use it, the idea should be stated so that its meaning remains that your holiness is your salvation. So we can say it or apply it in any way also today, but we must ensure that we remind ourselves that our focus is my holiness is my salvation for today. End each practice period by repeating the idea in its original form once more and adding, if guilt is hell, what is its opposite? In the shorter applications, which should be made some 3 or 4 times an hour and more if possible, you may ask yourself this question, repeat today's idea, or preferably both. If temptation arises, a particularly helpful form of the idea is, my holiness is my salvation from this. So we have this anchor today to bring us back to peace. My holiness is my salvation from this. So remind yourself of this thought throughout the day whenever you feel unsettled or uneasy in any way. Remind yourselves of the question, if guilt is hell, then what is the opposite? And let's focus on our main intention for today. My holiness is my salvation. My holiness is my salvation. My holiness is my salvation. And so it is. I love all of you. Thank you.